An investigator with the Virginia office of the state inspector general has filed a lawsuit against her boss and is seeking protection as a whistleblower.
She says she has been unjustly suspended from her job for reporting alleged misconduct related to investigations concerning the Virginia Parole Board. Tonight, John Burkett breaks down the allegations in the lawsuit and talks to the woman's attorney. John?
Well, the whistleblower made herself known anonymously last Wednesday to leaders in both the House and Senate, turning over some of her files. But her attorney says somehow that information got back to the state inspector general, Michael Westfall, who suspended the whistleblower Friday, sending agents to her home to retrieve work equipment. Cooperating with the feds and any future investigation by the General Assembly, Jennifer Moschetti, OSIG's chief investigator into complaints against the Virginia Parole Board, has unmasked herself. On Monday, she filed a lawsuit in Richmond Circuit Court seeking whistleblower protection and asking a judge to help her get her job back.
2 law enforcement officers of the Inspector General's office showed up at her house Friday afternoon and gave her a letter saying she was suspended. She's not allowed to go to work. She's not allowed to email her associates. She's completely now sitting there, pending a investigation of alleged misconduct.
But Moschetti says she's only being accused because she raised the red flag about how the Inspector General, the Attorney General's office, the Office of the Public Safety Secretary, and the Governor's office responded to her investigations, which found the parole board violated numerous laws and policies in the way they went about releasing more than half a dozen inmates over the past year.
I am not aware of the individual that was relieved of their duties there. That's something that within that agency that occurred. But again, we need to do the investigation.
Governor Ralph Northam telling CBS 6 Monday he had no information about Moschetti's suspension, but reiterating that he wants an outside investigation into how and why several pages worth of troubling accusations against the parole board, its former chair and its current chair, were removed from the final OSIG report on convicted cop killer Vincent Lamont Martin.
I mean, I can tell you that my client is extremely worried about not just her employment, but her personal safety. And the Inspector General took a step of punishing her for cooperating with law enforcement and cooperating with members of the General Assembly. It's shocking.
Moschetti states in her lawsuit that those, quote, substantial facts and findings of serious wrongdoing were taken out at the direction of the Office of the Attorney General. Moschetti also says she and Inspector General Michael Westfall were interrogated by members of the executive branch to include Public Safety Secretary Brian Moran and Governor Northam's Chief of Staff Clark Mercer after an unredacted copy of the final Martin report was leaked to the media last year. She claims that following that meeting, Westfall told her that he may lose his job over the Martin report, which instantly put her in fear of losing her job. Moschetti says she never leaked any of her reports or findings to CBS 6 or other media outlets. But after CBS 6 obtained and reported on a draft report of the Martin investigation that was more than 13 pages long, Westfall asked Virginia State Police to investigate how it was released. Moschetti says that's when she feared she'd be made a scapegoat.
That is the definition of irony. The agency that exists in the state government to protect employees from retaliation from their employers by providing an anonymous form of communication. That agency is now putting the hammer down on their own employee for cooperating with law enforcement and cooperating and giving information to appropriate authorities. She never leaked this information to the media. It didn't come from her.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have asked for an independent investigation into the accusations swirling around the parole board and the OSIG reports.
The executive branch, which includes the governor, the attorney general, and the inspector general, they're not able to do this investigation properly at this point. There's too many people that that are implicated in potential wrongdoing here. The General Assembly needs to conduct their own investigation. The legislative branch needs to independently evaluate the actions of not just the parole board, but all of those involved after these reports started being circulated.
Do you stand by your support of the current board?
Well, the board, as I said, I stand in support of parole. I think it's an important part of criminal justice reform. As far as what's going on with the past parole board and OSIG, an independent investigation needs to take place, and that's why I've supported that.
We received the whistleblower report shortly after our Brendan King spoke with the governor this afternoon. So we reached out to his press secretary about 2 paragraphs in that report that specifically mentioned the whistleblower's interrogation. The spokeswoman responded, "Generally, the office of the governor does not comment on pending litigation concerning the Commonwealth. The governor's office meets regularly with OSIG to go over results and findings of the Inspector General reports. I want to be clear. No one in the governor's office has ever intimidated or attempted to intimidate anyone in the office of the state inspector general." Working for you tonight, John Burkett, CBS 6 News.